Shalom, friends. It's Rabbi Jenny Solomon here at Beth Meyer Synagogue with a Mincha Moment. This week's Torah portion, it's actually a double Torah portion, Tazria-Metzora. I'll admit, it's not every person's favorite, but it might be one of my favorites because it offers for us some of the primary source texts for the modern and rabbinic practice of immersing in the mikveh. So what's it all about? These Torah portions sort of enumerate some of the ways in which we enter into what's called tum'ah, spiritual impurity. And then how we move from that state of tum'ah, spiritual impurity, to tahara, spiritual purity. Now let's be very clear. These terms have been sort of mistranslated or misinterpreted for years. This is not a designation of clean or dirty. This becomes particularly important when we think about menstruation. When a woman bleeds, she becomes in a state of tum'ah, of ritual impurity. And a lot of times, this is translated as unclean. Let me be clear. This is a normal, natural process. Our bodies were wondrously created, and it's part of the human experience. It's how we perpetuate life. It's how our bodies are intended to work. So this has nothing to do with being clean or unclean. It's also not just about women. This set of different physical circumstances applies to people of all genders. And there are lots of different details that are offered. So it's not just about women. And finally, these are amoral designations. It has nothing to do with whether we're good or we're bad, whether we've sinned or we haven't sinned. What they all have to do with, all of these different scenarios that move us to a state of tum'ah, or ritual, spiritual impurity, imply that we've had some kind of brush with our mortality or with death. So, for example, if you physically have contact with a dead body, you are in a state of tum'ah, of spiritual, ritual impurity. It's not about being unclean. It's not about whether you identify as a man or a woman. And it's not about whether you've done something good or bad. It's you have encountered death. And anybody who has been with somebody who has died knows what a powerful encounter that is. But the amazing thing is that we need not stay in that state. There are two sort of primary elements that help us move back into a spiritual state of tahara, of affirming life, of feeling our aliveness. Time, counting days, and immersion in the mikveh. Still, to this day, those are the primary categories that we use. But here's the last thing that I want to say. Again, these words in Hebrew, tum'ah and tahara, are just often mistranslated. And I want to suggest that now, in a time after the temple has been destroyed, when truly we are all in a state of ritual impurity with no way of kind of getting out of that because we no longer offer sacrifices in the temple, that perhaps a better translation would be spiritual readiness or unreadiness. And when we've experienced our own mortality, perhaps we've been ill, or we have encountered somebody who has died, when we're in a period of deep loss and grief, we may sense that we ourselves are in a state of ritual, spiritual impurity. Again, not because we're dirty, not because we've done anything wrong, certainly not because of our gender, but because we have encountered something that has changed us, that has brought us to a deep, dark, difficult place. The good news is that we need not stay there. So, if you're moving through that place and are looking for a ritual to transition again into a state of spiritual and ritual readiness, openness, and connection, Libi Er Mikvah is here for you. Reach out to me, and I'm happy to help make that ritual accessible to you. Shalom. Peace, everyone. May we find ourselves again and again in a state of tahara, of openness, of readiness to connect with life and the holiness that there is all around. Shalom. Peace.